Can you feel it? Nothing can save ya, cause this is the season of funky behavior. I came to relax your mind, you can recline. On what? On this here rhyme. I like the style, I'm staying for a while. It helps me show cats that I'm versatile. I'll touch your dial, turn your frown to a smile. I'll make you feel like you're having a child. So relax and open up, child. I'm about to make you walk what? Pimp style or pimped out style. You don't understand the logic. See, if you don't have it all, I'll take a deposit. I got shit for you, it's alright indeed. It's like going to the garden and planting the seed. It might tickle for a second, but it won't bleed. So just relax, just hear a dope ride. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax, and just hear a dope ride. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Your entertainment, at the same time, edutainment. In other words, you could call it bent. What I'm saying is that I'm here at your service. It's hard work, but then again, I deserve this. I'm helping people enjoy their spare time. I'm like an instructor when I'm doing my rhyme. Relax and just hear the dope track. It's really not all that, it's not like a gag. We like that when everything is relaxed and chill. You don't have to get fucked up or take pills, cause I like being myself, it feels good. Yo, it makes my meals taste good. 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 So just relax.
What's up? What's up? It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax. It's real tight, everything is real fat. Alright. Just relax. Alright, y'all, we back at it again. It is Sunday, March 1st. Wow, spring is on the horizon. What's up, everybody? Hope everyone's doing well. It's 13:18 Central European time, and that would make it what is that? Look, I guess that's about 10, something like that. 10, yeah. That would make it 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that would make it 7, something like that in the morning in the Pacific. What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. It's the afternoon towards dinner in Asia, in the evening, or well, in the Middle East, and and in Asia it's towards the evening. But I'm glad everybody's here and everybody made it. Hopefully, I just gotta say, listen, I'm not for blowing up schools. I don't care who it is doing it. I'm against anybody blowing up schools with kids. I'm against that savagery. I'm not a general of the United States of America. I've never ordered an attack on a school, and I'm against that, period. I definitely believe that is not how you fight any type of war, by attacking civilians or kids. I'm totally against it. I call it uncivilized, like straight up off the bat. As an American citizen, I'm just telling you. And I'm letting you see my face so you get an idea. You can qualify it, and I'm saying, in my opinion, as an American citizen, so you have more to qualify myself as a human being, born and raised in Washington, D.C. Family goes back on both sides to the colonial period. But as a grown ass man, I live in Copenhagen, Denmark. And I'm saying, I don't care who it is. I am totally against me. Maybe not you, but me. I am totally against anyone attacking civilians and kids with the excuse of a war for any reason whatsoever. I'm against that. And I don't think that's the way you wage wars. I think it's just a disrespect for the time we live in. We've been on Earth for a long time, to where we know why things are not good to do. And so I just want to say my hearts and prayers goes out to anybody who died, but especially children and civilians who died just for, and in my mind, this is senseless. This is senseless. There's no thought to it that anyone should be proud of. Likely more people will get hurt, and this will never stop. This is not going to stop because we don't have people that want it to stop. We have people that just want to do tit for tat all day. And I'm not just saying one side, but it doesn't matter, because if you're not the leader, if you can't speak up on the global stage and you can't reach out to another group and come to an end, a successful end, then you are not the leader anybody needs. You are just another failure. You see what I mean? And I'm not saying I can't be better. I'm better than motherfucking Donald Trump. Let me just tell you that. There's been a lot of people that have come out of left field and brought shit to an end. Jesse Jackson is one of them. Rest in peace, Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson came out of left field and got hostages out of Iran. He got them to do something they weren't willing to do for anybody else during Carter's reign. So let's not act like it doesn't happen all the time. It happens when we want things to happen. And until we have an administration that can see nuances, right, we're not going to have any end to this. And I'm just saying, I don't care about anything else. I'm totally against targeting little kids and civilians, period. You see what I mean? And the failure is in the hands of the leaders. I'm not a leader, so it's not my failure. It is not my failure. It's the one in charge. If you can't figure out how to get people to work together, then maybe you're just not good enough. Okay. Now, having said that, let me go back and see something here and review. There's been some interesting comments made by Trump in the past, during the election cycle. And Trump promised, he himself, let me see, is the audio good? Yeah. Trump, let me check it out. Is the audio check 1, 2? Yeah. Trump himself promised, that Kamala Harris, if she's elected, there will be endless wars, He said it himself, and so far we haven't really seen different from him, not in terms of wars, right? I mean, I don't know, maybe you haven't seen what's been going on, but I've seen what's been going on, and I think it's ridiculous. So I want to review it because Trump talked a lot of shit to his supporters. Keep in mind, these kind of statements were to his supporters. At that time, MAGA people wanted to hear the things that Trump had to say last year. As soon as he got elected, he did completely different things. So he openly lied to them, right? He promised them things. He gave them the impression that he was a different kind of person, total different kind of person than he actually shows himself to be. And yet, for some reason, some folks go along with that. Like, for me, I'm not that kind of voter. I'm not that kind of citizen. Let me explain to you why. Although I don't necessarily agree in retrospect, even I believe I didn't make the right decision before Obama's first election. I voted for Obama, not because of his color, because I don't vote for people because of the color. I find that to be trivial. I vote for people because of what they say, right? And their experience, and also what they say, right? What is it that they say that leads me to believe they can be more effective? How is it that they speak? What are the nuances in what they say? So I said, you know what? I'm going to vote for Obama. I voted for Obama, but I didn't think he went hard enough. So the second time, I didn't vote for him. I voted for Obama because he is an in-depth speaker. And so in how he speaks, he shows he has knowledge others don't possess. Right. And by the way, he's the one who actually made the deal with Iran in the first place, that over the nuclear that Trump came into power and destroyed. And now once again, so he was able to do something that Trump hasn't done yet. You know what I'm saying? So but in any case, also Netanyahu didn't like the deal that Obama made either. Right. Even though AIPAC supported Obama, right? Obama didn't necessarily unilaterally only think what they wanted, because AIPAC was against a nuclear deal with Iran, right? They wanted confrontation. So they got confrontation, But in any case, I didn't vote for Obama the second time around because I didn't think he went hard enough on some domestic policy, right? But I'm from Washington, D.C., so my vote didn't really have big consequence because it's a Democratic stronghold and Obama still got our electoral points. So that's okay, right? But I'm saying all this to say that I'm not like a lot of you. A lot of people that criticize me, they only vote for one party, and they always vote, and they don't care if the person is wrong. They never hold them accountable. That's Trump. Trump is the type of person, he has a lot of supporters that never hold him accountable. He can lie to their face and they will go back and support him again. That's not me. I'm not somebody's bitch ass. Okay, so I don't just keep going back and doing the same. Once you show me that you ain't getting the job done the way you started talking about it, you're likely to lose my vote. And that has been exhibited by myself more than once. Yeah, because, it's just how it is. Now, check this out. Let's review some comments that Trump made. And again, if you're a wishy-washy, if you're a person that is just going to support Trump no matter what, this won't matter to you. You're in the wrong place then. If nothing matters and you're always going to support Trump no matter what he does, then you probably, I wouldn't understand why you would give me your attention. But if you're a person that wouldn't always support Trump, you might want to hear this. Or anyone, not just Trump, but anyone like me. Would I always support Obama? No. No, I don't do those kind of things. I see civil servants as disposable. I see them 100% as they work for the American people. They get the tax dollars, and I don't owe you anything. You're already getting part of my paycheck. What else do I owe you? So I have no loyalty to any politicians. And I'm totally against dynasties. I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. Why? Simple. Because her husband was the president before. So anybody connected to Trump, I won't be voting for. Anybody connected to Biden, I won't be voting for. I'm talking about in his family. Biden, Trump, anyone who's already been president, I will not be supporting them in any presidential election, period, if they had a family member who was the president of the United States of America. I won't be doing that. But you are welcome to join that parade. But yeah, and I celebrate you. Join that parade. Yay! Join that parade. But that's why I don't live in the United States of America. I live in Denmark, so it don't affect me. But let's see. Let's continue. Let's take a listen to what Trump was saying last year.
Turning now to the race for the White House. Former President Trump returns to the campaign trail in the battleground state of North Carolina today. Meanwhile, his running mate is in Michigan.
Yeah, so both presidential campaigns are focusing on the economy this week as this race just continues to heat up. Natalie Brand brings us up to speed from the White House.
Former President Donald Trump is expected to focus on an issue central to his campaign while rallying supporters in Asheville, North Carolina.
From today and from the day I take the oath of office, we will rapidly drive prices down and make America affordable again.
His campaign attacked the Biden administration's economic policies, what they're now calling Kamalanomics, and inflation. A report Wednesday put the annual inflation rate at 2.9% in July, the first time it's been.
Do y'all remember Kamalanomics? Do you remember Kamalanomics? Yeah, inflation was at 2.9.
Under 3% since 2021. While high prices are still top of mind, some Democratic voters say they're feeling optimistic.
I feel good about the economy and the economy I'm going into and the job market I'm going into. It's all very exciting, I think, for people who...
Oh, that's all changed now. Republicans didn't feel excited about the economy. Do they feel excited about it now? About the job market? The 21-year-old man that went to Mar-a-Lago the other day with a shotgun, explaining that he was pissed off about the inflation and pissed off that he couldn't start a union at his job and pissed off that he couldn't earn enough money with a full-time job to move out of his family's house. He doesn't think the economy is too well right now, and he was a Trump supporter.
Are voting blue. Just saying.
Vice President Kamala.
Oh, you missed that, Roni? Shit. What do you miss? You need to check it because you need to understand something. It's obvious why they're not talking about him, right? Because he's a Trump supporter and because of his reasoning, and that's crazy. Here we go again. This guy literally said his family member, his friend said he was complaining about the Epstein files, the handling of the Epstein files. They said he was complaining for months about the economy. He was complaining about not being able to make enough to be able to, with a full-time job, to move out of his family's house. He was complained about when he tried to rally the other employees at his job to start a union. Nobody would support him. And he got pissed, grabbed a shotgun, and drove his ass to Mar-a-Lago because he voted for Trump to blow Trump's fucking head off. And, yeah, 21-year-old. He only could vote for like maybe 2-3 years of his life. Probably couldn't even drink alcohol, maybe mostly into, he doesn't have all those rights, although he had the right to go and die for this country. You can do that at 18 years old. Yeah. So he got pissed, and did something that most of the people that support Trump would never fucking do. You see what I mean? Most of the people that put Trump in, protected Trump, gave him a pass, and are part of the reason why he's in power now, would never do anything to stop Trump. They would, no matter what Trump does, they would never take any responsibility. So, yeah. So I feel for the young man, although I would never waste my life on a shithead like Trump. I would never go with a gun to kill him because that would be a waste of my life. My life is great. Although I live outside of the U.S., I'm happy with my life. I wouldn't advise you to destroy. No young person should waste their life on Donald J. Trump. Let the older people do it who've been on Earth longer and share more of the blame. That's what I think.
Kamala Harris will give her first policy-focused speech on the economy Friday when she travels to Raleigh, North Carolina. The campaign says the remarks will focus on tackling inflation, lowering costs for the middle class, and a plan to take on corporate price gouging.
It is people like my grandmother who suffer the most when food and rent
Remember J.D. Vance last year?
Become unaffordable for normal people.
Trump's running mate.
It's people like his grandmother. How did it work out for his grandmother, this economy? How's J.D. Vance doing for his grandmother? Is he doing a great job for his grandmother's economy?
And a plan to take on corporate price.
How's that elder care working out?
Gouging.
It is people like my grandmother who suffer the most when food and rent become unaffordable for normal people.
Trump's running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, hit the battleground state of Michigan today, while Democratic vice presidential candidate Minnesota Governor Tim Walz attends fundraisers.
Exactly. Let Gen X. That's what I'm saying. Look, that's what I'm saying, yo. And I'm part of that. I'm born in the 70s and shit. You know what I'm saying? But listen. You got to make a change when you see shit doesn't work. I made my change. When I was talking about shit like this 20 years ago, motherfuckers didn't listen to me. So I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Why should I live in a country with a bunch of hard-headed motherfuckers that don't want to listen to anything? You know what I mean? That are caught in the matrix and can only see what's right here in front of their face, period. Anything else that exists outside in the Western world, healthcare, education, union job, fair housing, they don't see that in the United States. That's all mystical, magical. You know what I mean? You must be a communist or a socialist if you have a job that pays your bills. It's crazy, man.
In Denver and Boston. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
We may have gotten a hint of what's to come in Vice President Harris's economic speech on Friday. Governor Walz said he...
Now, that was Trump. Now, here's another Trump was all over the place last year. 2 years ago, Trump made a whole lot of statements. How'd it turn out now?
Donald Trump has been indicted twice over his efforts to overturn the 2020 election.
Oh, he actually said that election in 2024 was fake. It's going to be rigged.
And some of his recent attacks on Vice President Harris and how she became the Democratic nominee are stirring fears that he's laying the groundwork to try to do it again.
Yeah, these fools don't care about normal people, man. It's crazy.
This was a coup. This was a coup of a president of the United States. Actually,
look. He was saying. You remember this? He was saying Kamala Harris committed a coup against who? Against Biden or against Trump? They had so many conspiracies. Now that this and so did his followers. And now that this MFer is in power, they shut the fuck up and try to pretend like these weren't their theories last year.
They forced it was a coup.
To try to do it again.
This was a coup. This was a coup of a president of the United States. Actually, they forced him out. It was a coup. We had a coup. That was the first coup in the history of our country. And it was very successful. She was the first one out. And that you can then be picked to run for president seems to me.
He said Kamala Harris committed a coup against Joe Biden. That's what they actually said. They were saying that last year it was a coup. Then he even goes further and says the election is rigged. This is just in 2024.
A coup. That was the first coup in the history of our country. And it was very successful. She was the first one out. And that you can then be picked to run for president seems to me
he didn't want to run against Kamala.
Actually unconstitutional.
And my panel is back now. I'm not a lawyer, but I do have a broad sense of the Constitution. And I don't think the Constitution says anything about political parties or how a nominee should be picked in a political party, which is exactly what the whole story within Biden and Harris, Biden going out and Harris being put in there.
They went out there and they said Biden is too old to run for office. Sleepy Joe must step down. That's what people in the left said. Not everybody, but a significant portion of the left said Biden is too old. So the man stepped down. Then after he stepped down, they said it's a coup. The other side said it's a coup. See, but they said, yeah, Biden. The right wing said Biden is too old. And then when he stepped down, they said it was a coup. The leftists in the Democratic movement, I mean, the far left said he's too old. He needs to step down. And then when he stepped down and Kamala stepped up, then all of a sudden the story changed to Kamala Harris's granddaddy is great-great-granddaddy is a slave master in Jamaica and all types of shit. I mean, they had all types of stories. You know what I mean? This is what you're going to hear in the next presidential election. It's going to all be personal. It's going to be so much disinformation, widespread in advance. You're going to hear people talking about baby blood. It doesn't matter who is running. It doesn't matter who is running. They are going to come after the American public to confuse the American public, to make sure the American public doesn't get universal health care, doesn't get access to education, doesn't get a reasonable wage for working for 40 hours a week to be able to pay your bills. That's what the disinformation is designed to stop. So they want all of you to divide and fight over all kinds of crazy shit, you know?
Okay. All right. So just putting that aside, let's look at the big picture, because every time I hear him or people who are
when somebody says both sides are insane, are you going to vote or are you not going to vote? You going to vote in the 2026 election? Let me see here. Hold on. Frank, are you an American citizen? Do you vote in the country you live in? I'm just curious about that because, those kind of comments can only mean I'm not going to vote in the United States. If somebody says both sides are insane, that means you're not planning on voting. That's the logical reaction to that. So, yeah. Okay.
Allies of Donald Trump say coup or say, I spent $100 million on Joe Biden and look, the sort of a bait and switch. I think, what happens if he loses? Is he telling us ahead of time what he's going to do after Election Day, just as he did?
CP. I see you don't watch my videos, man. I mean, you don't really watch my videos because I see you ask the same questions over and over and over. I mean, listen, I don't think you're interested in the debate on fertilizer, even though you're asking the question. I think what you're doing is trying to distract American voters from their situation that they're in, which is extreme. Right. And again, fertilizer. What else are you going to talk about? Hillary drinking baby blood? OK, I got you.
In the 2020 election.
This to me is almost
You didn't hear regarding the fertilizer. The EU signed one of the biggest trade deals, 2 trade deals in back to back just after this fertilizer issue. One with South America. That's what triggered the fertilizer issue, the farmer issue. Right. They're concerned about, is it going to be too much trade with South America? That's been resolved now. You don't hear about it anymore. Then they signed the next one with Asia. You see what I mean? So all the places that Trump are stepping out of, all the people that Trump is putting tariffs against are uniting for their own survival. Since Trump is directing Americans to not work together with others and trade. So that's what's happening. Nobody else wants to be an isolationist, you know, so.
Latest iteration.
But right now we're talking about what Trump said last year. Do you want to hear what Trump said last year? Here we go. Let's hear what Trump said last year.
And look, the sort of a bait and switch. I think, what happens if he loses? Is he telling us ahead of time what he's going to do after Election Day, just as he did in the 2020 election?
This to me is almost the late.
Yeah, you're right, Bobby. They're going to come with these kind of comments, Bobby. In the next election, if there's anybody who's not white, they're going to come with this thing. What is your race? Who's your granddaddy really is? Who are you? What color are you? Are you this? Are you that? Anyone who's not white, they're going to throw all those questions up against them. You're right, Bobby. You're one of those people that did that, and you got confused by it. You're right.
Latest
You got confused by a person like you.
iteration in what we've seen for the past couple of years now. The former president hasn't stopped in trying to sow doubt in democratic systems in election.
45 Ronnie, that's what they want, you to not vote. That's what they want. They don't want people voting. That's what the billionaires want. So again, do what you want. I'm not trying to convince anybody to do anything that I would do. I know what I'm doing, and I know why I'm doing it. And it's basically because I like a living wage. I like basic norms. I like shit to work. So that's why I do what I do, you know?
In the elections and the integrity of elections, really since the 2020 election, right? And now you see the latest iteration, which is trying to basically put the focus on Kamala Harris now being at the top of the ticket as well. You've heard him use words like coup and what have you, but as you...
Anybody that you pay taxes to that gets your tax dollars, you should want to have some say on who that is. That's a sane, logical thing to say. Anyone who's getting tax dollars, every second that you lift a finger from your labor, you should want to have say on who that is. So you decode that and figure out what that means.
You say there's nothing in the Constitution that backs that up, you know, obviously. And there's a process.
Exactly, justice for Epstein
playing
victims.
Out. They're going to follow that process in the DNC as well. But I see this as just the latest step in something that I remember the FBI and the Homeland Security warning about after DHS, saying that continuing to make false statements about the election and the election process will have a ripple effect, and will have a negative ripple effect when it comes to perceptions across the country and people's trust in democratic systems.
Yeah, I mean, look.
So this was 2024 during the election cycle when Trump was running for president, and he repeatedly was saying that the election is rigged. He was saying that because he thought he was going to lose. Yeah, and that's what, you know, that's the kind of rhetoric he was throwing out there. And he does that every time he runs. When he starts feeling like he's not going to win, he starts saying the election is rigged. That's what they're doing this. That's what they're doing this year, 2026, y'all. The election is rigged, y'all, because he's in fear that he's not going to, you know, that Republicans are going to do bad and that he's going to be impeached. So because he's in fear, because of the Epstein files, he's going to start saying the election is rigged again, because he wants Americans to go raid the Capitol. He wants the Americans to get violent if he loses or if Republicans lose, because he will be impeached if Republicans don't win the seats.
He was running against Joe Biden and doing very well, and now he's not running against Joe Biden. And this is how he reacts. Yeah.
Exactly. He was running against Joe Biden and he was doing very well. He didn't have a problem running against Sleepy Joe. But as soon as Kamala became the candidate, then he said the election was rigged. He said she made a coup. Right? She said she made a coup, right, on Biden. He said that was the first time it's ever happened in American history. And the left, part of the left said, yeah, Biden's too old. He needs to step down. That's what this part of the left said. Trump said Biden's too old. He needs to step down. Right? Pretty much. And then when he stepped down, they was like, oh, no, he stepped down. The election's rigged.
Yeah, he was ahead in the polls. He felt very good. And they had a plan to run against Biden. And that's what he was doing. And then he's seen this huge shift and this huge momentum shift. And so many things are clearly frustrating him. Her crowds, the rally sizes, he puts a lot of stock in those things. So sort of seeing these big crowds come out, seeing the enthusiasm, seeing the airport hangar pictures, like those things are all clearly getting under his skin.
So that's the rhetorical angle of this. And then there's what is happening on the ground in some of these key states that will determine the election. Georgia is an example.
Georgia. Can you find me some votes? Elon Musk sending out ballots, pre-filled registration notes or whatever the hell those are, trying to sway the election. Yeah, that was called fraud. Georgia just now, it took over a year. Georgia has now called Elon Musk efforts in Georgia in that presidential election voter fraud. Yes. Will that sway MAGA? No. Will that sway trolls? No, because trolls want Americans to have a civil war. So therefore, anything that sounds like it's not fair, ha ha ha, so what? And they will just be on any side. Ha ha, ha ha.
There's a new election rule in
I'm cool with trolls because I could see them a mile away.
Georgia, passed by the state election.
Trolls can't fool me, but it will fool some Americans. So keep it up, trolls.
Counties now have leeway to delay
Trolls are getting what they want. They got Iran bombed.
Reporting of the votes that come in. Election boards can demand more information and conduct inquiries before certifying results. And in addition to that, if you listen carefully to that very long rally that the former president did in Georgia last week, it might have gotten missed because the focus was on him trashing the Republican governor, but he was praising 3 Republican board members who were appointed to their jobs this year, saying that they're on fire, that they're pit bulls for transparency, honesty, and victory. And it made some people go, oh, okay. Is he working the refs here a little bit?
Well, and the Democrat on that panel warned of how this could be misused in an election. And so the difference between...
Put a 1 in the chat if you're in favor of the U.S. bombing Iran. Put a 2 in the chat if you're not in favor of that. I want to see everybody that has an opinion in the chat answer that question. Put a 1 in the chat if you're in favor of the U.S. bombing Iran. Put a 2 in the chat if you're not.
2020 and now, or in 2024, is that it was kind of ad hoc, right, in 2020. Now it seems like groundwork is being laid potentially to at least slow down.
I already got an idea who's not going to answer that question. That's why I'm asking.
If not,
well, this is
hamper
because this is based on a law that Republicans in Georgia passed after 2020.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's so that now that they're
we can see who the trolls are when they don't answer.
There's these like infrastructures.
I mean, be dumb, disagree, and be honest. You know what I'm saying? But don't have all your opinion up in the chat, and then when somebody asks you a basic question like that, you can't answer. You see what I mean? Like, come on now.
Slow down or potentially, cause chaos in the aftermath of the election.
And Doug Emhoff was at a fundraiser in Los Angeles yesterday, and he said,
Dave, where you at? Come on, Dave. What's your opinion, Dave? Come on, Dave. Put a 1 in the chat if you're in favor of the U.S. bombing Iran. Put a 2 in the chat if you're not, Dave. Dude said he could. Look, check this out. This is what Dave said. Listening to corrupt Democrats talk, most smart will know it's time for a nap. Now check it. He didn't answer the question when I asked him. Dave, answer the question. Let us know what your opinion is. Put a 1 in the chat, Dave, if you're for the U.S. bombing Iran. See, what they try to do is confuse people to get people from asking basic questions, asking you, where do you stand on this? Where do you stand on this issue? See, they don't like to answer basic questions. They like to throw out confusion to everybody and hope people just follow their ass. See, I respect a person that has a difference of opinion if that's what they really believe. But when you can't answer basic questions, it means you don't really believe what you're saying anyway.
Quote, they're going to do lots of shenanigans. They're already talking about that. So we got to win.
Very
we got to
simple.
Protect the win. So we're going to need the lawyers.
I got family member that supported Trump, but at least they fucking tell the truth about it, even if I don't agree and shit. They not out here trolling.
We're going to need volunteers.
Yeah, and that's not something.
Look at Dave. Dave just disappeared his ass. See you later, Dave. Bye bye. Just one question got Dave to fuck out the chat, man. And some of the
starting today. I mean, the Democrats have been working on this for a very long time. The Harris campaign, when it was the Biden campaign, had been gearing up for that.
Yeah, and let me put it too in the chat too, just so you know my opinion. You know, you don't have to agree with my opinion too. I'm not for that shit. And I already started off this program with saying I'm not for bombing fucking schools and kids, period. Leave me out of that. It doesn't matter what your reasoning is or who you're fighting. I'm totally against bombing kids, and it doesn't schools, civilians, and it doesn't matter who it is or where it comes from or why. I'm totally against that. So
this, the idea that they need to be prepared in key states, that they need to have legal, strategies ready. And so that is something that they have been working on.
Donald Trump may have won the Republican nomination by a wide margin, but the former president still faces some serious opposition from within his own Republican Party. Last night, a group called Republicans for Harris held a call to mobilize.
Yeah, Trump is 80 years old, man.
Yeah,
we're listening to what Trump was saying in the last election cycle in 2024, just reviewing it, right? So
GOP voters, thousands of
we're reviewing what the voters' sentiment was also, right?
Lifelong Republicans and former
Trump actually said that if you vote for Kamala, you're going to be stuck in endless wars. That's what he said. He said if you vote for Kamala, the economy is going to crash, sink. That's what he said.
Lawmakers shared their stories and made
inflation is going to skyrocket.
Their case for putting country ahead of party. Listen.
As a firsthand witness to the chaos of the Trump presidency behind closed doors.
All right, let's move forward to the next little clips here with Mr. Trump. Let's see here.
And the biggest race on the top of everyone's mind is the race for the White House, as Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump campaigned.
What's up, Karina?
Hard yesterday to
Justin, I see you.
Win over as many votes.
Yeah, Justin says it's irrelevant whether there is merit to cause a dictator accidentally doing what may be right doesn't make them not a dictator. True.
Voters as possible.
Let's start with the former president making stops in North Carolina.
Oh, GC. Yeah. Oh, tell me about it. You baffled? GC says, I'm still baffled why so many black men voted for him. Yeah. And those black men need to look in the mirror and be baffled also because you're the last one. Man, you voted for your entire family's face to be ripped off of everything and removed from the United States of America. Man, are you out of here? What the fuck is wrong with you? But I would say this. It's very simple. Regardless of that data, the reality is that as an ethnic group, black Americans on large, something like 80% voted for Kamala Harris. Every other ethnic group was split by more numbers. You see what I mean? So the Palestinians were split 50-50. Hispanics were split 50-50. White people, white Americans split 50-50. Shit, African Americans wasn't split 50-50. They was like, oh, hell fucking no. We see this shit coming a mile away. So, those 10, 15, 20% of black men or black people that voted for Kamala Harris, hey, don't feel so bad because, they voted for Trump. The 20% that voted for Trump that are black Americans, don't feel bad because every other ethnic group voted more than you for Trump. So, they ain't going to sneak out of this one either.
And Grand Rapids, Michigan, the same.
How's your health care doing?
Place he had his last rallies in both 2016 and 2020.
Yeah, Cubans for Trump and shit.
Continuing his attacks on his opponent.
They was out here singing and shit for Trump and shit. You know what I'm saying? And listen. You have to laugh because people told them. And these are look, nobody likes to look at themselves. So if you're a black American and you voted for Trump, fuck it. Let's not talk about you right now. Let's talk about Cubans. Look at the Cubans. Did it turn out well for the Cubans that voted for Trump? No. Did it turn out well for the Palestinians that voted for Trump? No. Who did it turn out good for? So don't feel bad. Just look in the mirror and understand you wasn't the only one. You weren't the only one. But you are being harmed if you voted for Trump. Likely you are being harmed, and just admit it. You're worried about your pension. You're worried about your mortgage. If you have any sense, you're worried about your family's elder care. You're worried about your health care. You're worried about inflation. You're worried about your job because these corporations are firing people. Don't be scared to admit you're scared. Don't be scared to admit you're worried. That just makes you normal. Straight up.
Other well-known Democrats in Congress, like Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi, he focused heavily on immigration and his tariff policies.
To me, when you allow thousands of murderers into our country, to me, when you allowed the drug kingpins of the world and terrorists into our country at levels that we've never seen before, to me, that's the bigger problem. We're gonna tell China that if you continue to send fentanyl,
China got 10% tariffs. China got the least amount of tariffs of anybody. China got tiny amount of tariffs now and shit. Trump was talking all this shit last year, but he gave everyone else not sending fentanyl 25, 50% tariffs.
to Mexico or any place else that comes into our country, we're going to charge you a 25% tariff on everything you sell into the United States of America.
China, he's been so soft on China. You know why it is. The Don Roe doctrine. He's willing to turn a blind eye to China's fentanyl, to make a deal that he can control America, that the U.S. can take over America, that China can take over Asia, and that Russia can take over Europe. That's the deal that he made. It was goddamn tariffs. He didn't do nothing to China with tariffs. He's back here talking about this now. Look at this. China.
Our country, to me, when you allowed the drug kingpins of the world and terrorists into our country at levels that we've never seen before, to me, that's the bigger problem. We're gonna.
No, he ain't got. Russia don't have no tariffs. That's what I'm saying. He got no tariffs on Russia. You see what I'm saying? So he never heard of the Russian fucking mafia operating in the U.S. Like, everybody's heard of that. Every normal person that lives in a city has fucking heard of the Russian mafia. You see what I mean? Except Trump. He don't know nothing.
Tell China that if you,
because he's involved with them and shit.
Continue.
Russia who? Who's Russia?
To send fentanyl to Mexico or any place else that comes into our country, we're going to charge you a 25% tariff on everything you sell into the United States of America.
The former president plans to spend his election day with his running mate, J.D. Vance, at his Mar-a-Lago.
Look at this stupid ass question. Everett wrote, how are those Democrats working out for you? Everett, Democrats lost the election. Democrats are not in power. They are the minority. Democrats, the only thing they did was have to work months on a discharge petition, 218 people to get the Epstein files released, and they only got 4 Republicans to vote for it. And that discharge petition was only to have a vote on the floor, only to demand a vote on the floor to release the Epstein files. Only 4 Republicans were in favor of the petition. American people had to wait months just for that to happen. So how are those Democrats doing you? Yeah, well, if it wasn't for those Democrats, you wouldn't see any Epstein files. Apparently, you don't want to see any either. And I'm pretty sure you don't, because there's a lot of Trump supporters that are like you, actually.
Estate
hypocrites.
In South Florida.
But as far as the economy, that's all in the Republicans' hands. The economy is in Trump's hands. Tariffs are in Trump's hands. If you want to stop Trump from doing tariffs, you have to impeach him. If you want to stop Trump from attacking countries, you have to impeach him. Very simple.
Vice President Harris, meanwhile, devoted her whole Monday on Pennsylvania, holding 3 different rallies, visiting businesses, and even door knocking in some of the neighborhoods there. She pushed a message.
This is 2024, y'all. We're listening to the messages of the 2024 election cycle to see how they match up with today.
Unity to voters, and never mentioned the former president by name. She again looked to create a stark difference between her message and the former president's.
America is ready for a fresh start, ready for a new way forward where we
Rasulu, exactly. He bought his wife from them. Yeah, he bought his wife from the Russians pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Putin got his nuts in a jar. GC, exactly.
Hello, America.
Or at least he acts like it.
Stark difference between her message and the former president's.
America is ready for a fresh start, ready for a new way forward where we see our fellow American not as an enemy, but as a neighbor. And we are ready.
Wow, that was so controversial. That was what a bad message. Let's hear that again. Let's hear that again. That was such a horrible message. Who does this lady think she is? She want Americans to not see each other as enemies? Who does she think she is?
Where we see our fellow American not as an enemy, but as a neighbor.
Boo! I want to see my fellow American as an enemy. Fuck you. I want to have a civil war, lady. Get out of our fucking way.
And we are ready for a president who knows that the truth.
Oh, you didn't see Ernest. You didn't see Trump going door to door. Man, Cankles can't go. Them days are over for Cankles. Look, Trump's a billionaire. He doesn't have to go door to door. Okay? He doesn't have to go door to door. He's a billionaire. He ain't got to do that, man. Plenty of people do all his work for him, man. That's how it goes with Trump. There's plenty of people lining up, want to get a little paycheck from Trump. They'll go door to door for him, you know. And powerful people, Elon Musk, he's the one who did it, you know. He really got Trump over the hump, you know what I'm saying? The richest man on earth paid for Trump basically to be the president, you know.
True measure of a leader is not based on who you beat down, but based on who you lift up.
Harris and her running mate.
That is, it's not, what kind of message, what kind of communist message is this?
The true measure of a leader is not based on who you beat down, but based on who you lift up.
There's a significant amount of Americans that disagree with that message. A significant amount would say, no, the true merit is on who you beat down. They would say that was a bad message from Kamala Harris, unfortunately, and that's how you got Trump in office. This message did not resonate with kick them out, kill them all.
Who knows that the true measure of a leader is not based on who you beat down, but based on who you lift up.
Harris and her running mate, Governor Tim Walz, will spend their election day and the VP at the.
Somebody said Harris sucks. Is she in the Epstein files? Harris isn't in the Epstein files. Yeah, and Trump is alleged to like little boys. Sasha Riley, you should go to him. You should check out his Facebook page also. Sasha Burrows on Facebook. Yeah, he said that Trump liked little boys to do it to him. Yeah, and he liked to torture them and then molest them. Yeah, that's what he said in 1984 between the ages of 8 and 12. Yeah, we've been covering that over here. You want to hear some? Would you like to hear him say that, Sherry? I could play it for you if you like.
VP's alma mater.
Put a 1 in the chat if I should play some of Sasha Burrows. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't give a fuck about no goddamn victim.
Howard University in Washington, D.C.
Just going to wait. I've got a plan that I'm going to do this or that. Oh, good. Well, do it now. Do it right now. You know, if it's any good. No, she's a total fake. If Kamala, and she's incompetent, which is perhaps worse.
Look like we're going to hear some Sasha Burrows.
If Kamala wins, you are 3 days away from the start of a 1929-style economic depression. I believe that. You know, we have a lot of great analysts. Scott Bessent is one. He's one of the smartest guys on Wall Street. A real, you know, I call him 182, 184, double her IQ, like double, maybe triple. But they say the only reason the stock market is doing good is because they all think Trump is going to be elected. So I believe that's true. Just going to wait. I've got a plan that I'm going to do this or that. Oh, good. Well, do it now. Do it right now. You know, if it's any good. No, she's a total fake. If Kamala, and she's incompetent, which is perhaps worse. If Kamala wins, you are 3 days away from the start of a 1929-style economic depression. I believe that. You know, we have a lot of great analysts. Scott Bessent is one. He's one of the smartest guys on Wall Street.
This is what Trump said about Kamala. Yeah. If she was elected, you would have an economic catastrophe. Okay.
You know,
I mean, Trump was elected and the GDP slowed. The GDP just slowed down. More than it's slowed down since the last. Look, the GDP slowed down The only time it slowed down in the last 20 years is when Trump became president. That's the only time. That's the only time. Seriously, it's crazy.
182, 184, double her IQ, like double, maybe triple. But they say the only reason the stock market is doing good is because they all think Trump is going to be elected. So I believe that's true.
Yeah, so they did that. Now let's see here. 2 seconds. Let me go back into people want to hear Sasha Burrows, and I agree. You know, it's to remind people of who Trump is, right, and what's being said about him, and you know, people need to be reminded, because generally speaking, when someone accuses somebody of sexual assault of minors and things like that, generally the person who's being accused would not like it. Generally, the people that's seeing somebody accuse him would not vote for him. But this time around, MAGA people voted for him anyway. You know, check it.
I understand perfectly. So your dad would obviously, you know, my understanding is your dad was the kind of pilot that those sort of criminals would want to use, because they could use him to fly anything in any situation. Yep. To airlift Trump out, like you said, when you almost killed Trump, when Trump was assaulting you.
Right. You hear that? When he almost killed his dad, Trump, his dad airlifted Trump out after he almost killed Trump for trying to sexually assault him. So let's go back. Yep.
And somebody else took that drug run, and they got busted.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Okay. So,
you know, he's that pilot that but he was investigation.
yeah.
There were enough things that happened in Texas that my dad moved from Texas to Tennessee, and then got in trouble in Tennessee, and then got in trouble in Tennessee, and then moved to Alabama, got in trouble in Alabama, and then we just moved one more time.
And you're talking about
Alabama.
Your adoptive dad, William Kyle Riley, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have located my birth parents. My birth mother lives in Sierra Vista, and my birth father lives in Edmond, Oklahoma. But I have not reached out to either of them.
Mm-hmm.
I just, within the last year, probably 6 months, I learned where they live.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That's just an odd dynamic for me, and I'm still kind of processing that. But as far as family goes, I have a half sister up in Massachusetts, and that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, so this is Sasha Riley. He's about to say some gruesome stuff, and let's see here.
80, and almost immediately married Lynn 4 years ago.
Okay. Now, you told me about Trump and about Biggs and about Jordan. I feel like that's important to discuss in details. And
so he described Trump, Jordan, and Biggs. These are all elected officials right now being paid salaries by the American people, and Clarence Thomas. He mentions all four of them coming to these different parties and assaulting, essentially, young people. He says in this tape, here we go. I'll put it for the people that never heard this before, because I even know some of the trolls haven't heard it before. Here you go for people. I'm going to pin this at the top for people to know, because some people think it's smart to be assholes. But this is Sasha Riley. Sasha Riley says Trump assaulted him. Here we go. And so I'm going to pin this at the top for people that have never heard this before. Yeah. And so far, Trump has not issued a cease or desist. So far, Trump has not, threatened to sue him. On Facebook, you can go to his page on Facebook. His name is Sasha Burrows. Let me pull that up. Sasha Burrows. You can find him on Facebook. He's openly been saying these things for a couple of years now. And for some reason, Trump has not disagreed. Trump has not disagreed with it. Trump has not been questioned about it. And this is who MAGA people support. They support those kind of folks. And it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird that anybody would support a pedophile. or someone being alleged by so many people to be a pedophile. I mean, Trump is said by many at this point to have been involved in killing little kids and being a pedophile, sexually assaulting little kids. He's done that. That's what his record is. And for some strange reason, it is part of his record. And for some strange reason, MAGA people, they like to joke about it. Here you go. This is Sasha Burrows. This is him. This is the guy saying these things. So let's listen. You can find him on Facebook. If you think he's a liar, Trump, if you want to sue him, you want to send him a cease and desist, you want to get him from not telling people what he's been telling people, I'll tell you. He said that Trump was assaulting him sexually and torturing him. He said that Trump killed a litter of puppies in front of him before he sexually assaulted him. He said one time he was with another girl. They used to make snuff videos. They used to make child porn, Epstein and Trump, right, and company. He said that Trump was the boss. Epstein was the subordinate in the trafficking ring when he was involved in it. He said that Trump, while he was with a little girl, another girl, this man, Sasha, when he was a boy, between the ages of 8 and 12, I think this was closer to 12 when this particular incident happened. 4 men stormed in the room, shot the girl in the head, right? And then said the same thing is going to happen to you, little boy, if you don't do everything that the man who comes into this room next demands of you. And then who came in the room? He says it was Trump. So this is who you're supporting. So let's take a listen.
Ask you a question. Do you think it's more helpful for you to talk about what you remember first, when you were first trafficked, the circumstances, individuals involved, or do you want to talk about some of the incidents that we spoke about a bit by email already? What do you think is most helpful for you?
Fill in whatever gaps in that I can. I have spoken to you about most of what I remember clearly, but I can give you some of the details with those 3, and that's why I am willing to talk about them. There's no. I remember more things, but I can't give you much in the way of detail for anybody other than those 3. I can remember Jim Jordan. I went to a party. This was at a farm. There were 25 to 50 people there. I mean, it was a good.
Jim Jordan is one of the chairs in these hearings that you've been having on Congress. He was the chair on the hearing that was that Jack Smith had to come and do his testimony under. He's talking about that Jim Jones, right? Or Jim Jordan, I'm sorry.
People, but not a massive crowd for anybody other than those 3. I can remember Jim Jordan. I went to a party. This was at a farm. There were 25 to 50 people there. I mean, it was a good amount of people, but not a massive crowd by any stretch. But the experience that my dad sold to those people was, if you could pin me, then you could do whatever you wanted. But my dad had taught me how to fight. He had been a bare knuckle brawler earlier in his.
He said his dad was a security and pilot for Trump and Epstein at that time, and was part of the an employee for the sex trafficking ring. His father, the guy he's talking about, adopted him and used him in this sex trafficking. That's what Sasha Riley says. Sasha Burrows Riley.
Life, and I know that he had worked kind of just beating people up for a little extra money at one point in his life. He also entered into the Tough Man contest, stuff like that. So it was kind of a game for them, because I was just a child. So you would think that you could just do whatever you wanted. But if they got anywhere near me, I would hit them. And by the time that Jim Jordan assaulted me, I was old enough that those adults, not being
here's the thing. I pinned the audio. This is like 6 hours of audio. Most of the people that are blind loyalists of Trump won't even listen to it. So that's not what I'm expecting. I understand how that works. But for those of you that that aren't blind loyalists, maybe you support Trump in some ways, but those of you that aren't blind loyalists, you should probably take a listen to it and then give your opinion about it. Yeah, because the guy was a vet. Trump was not a vet. Trump has not fought for any war in this country. Sasha Burrows has, and other people in the military have corroborated seeing him on tape in child porn. Yes, he has also had incidents with the police. He's saying that Trump has a record of being put in the hospital after this last assault because he took a stick and jammed it up Trump's fucking ass. He said Trump liked to get his ass, smashed in, right, by little boys. And he said that this time when Trump told him to do it, he kicked it in. He put it in and then he kicked it in so hard that Trump hit the floor screaming and yelling. And the security people came in and grabbed Trump and flew him out to a hospital. And that was the last time he saw Trump, and that they wanted to actually kill his little ass for that. Yeah, that's what Sasha Burrows says on those tapes. It's up to you, if you want to listen to it. But again, pedophiles ain't going to listen to this,
Most of them not being athletic in any way. These are people that, they're not fighters by any stretch.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't get anywhere near me. And Jim Jordan just sort of rushed me and tackled me. And I might have known how to fight, but I didn't know how to wrestle. So he assaulted me in front of a crowd, and I think that it was filmed, but I can't swear that it was filmed, but it was in front of those 25 or 50 people.
Yo, Morty, exactly. Denmark did declare the U.S. a threat. They declared U.S. a threat to their security, straight up, yeah, and to their sovereignty. Yeah, it's true. And hey, I'm just happy I live in Denmark. And guess what? Danes are proud people. Denmark is a great country. And it's times like this that prove what countries are great, because one thing that you can't say about Danes is that they don't take care of their people. The United States of America, and no American can ever say that about Denmark. Denmark takes care of its people. You see? Yeah, Germany did the same too. The only country not taking care of its people, making sure that its people get a fair shot at freedom, at life, is the United States of America. And I can tell you so because I'm born and raised in the United States of America. Didn't move outside of it until I was 30 years old, right? Have traveled across the country, got a huge network in the United States of America, family and friends and associates. And I know what they all talk about. You see what I mean? So, yeah. And so I'm the guy to tell you. That's why I'm telling you this shit. Yeah. It's just that simple. You don't have to believe it. I don't want you to believe it if you have a problem believing it. But I'm only here for the people that are intelligent enough, that can use my words for something positive.
And how old were you?
That's why I remembered. I was around 12.
12.
When that happened.
And of those 25, 50 people... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
The reason that I remember Jim Jordan is, first, he stood out because he wasn't that much. He's only like 7 or 8 years older than me. So at the time frame that I'm at 12, he is right around just graduating high school, maybe first year or two of college, right? So him being so much younger stood out. And then I remembered his jawline. He has a very pronounced jawline. I remembered his voice. And his mannerisms haven't changed throughout his life either. So when I really started, as soon as Trump went down that escalator and said he was running for president, I got involved in politics. I started watching it. I started watching who supported him and everything like that. And I remember Jim Jordan just from watching him on the floor of Congress, speaking to the different people that go up there and testify. So, and that's him. I just
now, some dumb piece of shit in the chat said by the name of something Brian or whatever. I don't know what the hell his name is. Said, "What? Fuck the speaker. We riding on him." Well, look, this is Sasha Riley. This is Sasha Riley speaking. that you're listening to, and you're listening to Lisa Noel Valding. She's the one who gave the interview, right? So why don't you take your issue up with them? Wouldn't that be the right thing to do? If you disagree with them, if you feel so deeply about it, why don't you take it up with them? You scared too? I hope that's not what it is. There's no need to be scared about it. Just go talk to them and find out if it's true. That's why they're out here in the public showing you their face. Here they go. Let me see. Can you see their face right here? See? Lisa Noel Valding. You can contact her. She's open to conversations with people that don't believe her. And so is Sasha Riley, the vet. You know? Do you have any specific reason why you're against contacting them? Any reason, Brian? Brian, you scared of contacting Sasha Riley? You scared of contacting Lisa Noel Valding? Sasha Riley has a Facebook to make it easy for you. Here it is. Go to it. You can write him all day. He would like to talk to you, actually. But of course you ain't going to do it because you are basically full of shit. So there you have it.
Yeah. So I know that's not a lot, but you give me a polygraph, I'm going to take it because I'm 100% sure that it was him.
Mm-hmm.
And Andy Biggs, I remember, because on the way to this, they took me to a house. This wasn't at a party. This was later after I had assaulted Trump, and it was kind of a punishment type of thing where he was going to get to assault me and I guess not pay my parents, and he got to do whatever he wanted. And I can remember telling me I wasn't allowed to fight back or they'd kill me, and you know, all of this, but they must have said his name 50 times in the car. So Biggs I kept hearing Biggs, Andy Biggs, and I thought, I'm going to remember this name. And after he assaulted me, I don't even remember the assault necessarily, but I remember being in the car afterwards and being like really nauseous, sick to my stomach. I was seeing spots, and I mean, the guy.
Yeah, facts. Pitbull. Sasha been speaking since 2019. Yeah, exactly.
Beat me until I had broken ribs and was convulsing, turning blue and stuff like that. And the only part of that assault that I can remember is laying on the floor of the room trying to breathe, and I could hear Andy and my dad screaming back and forth at each other. And I can remember Andy Biggs saying, "You said I could do whatever I wanted," and my dad saying, "I didn't say you could fucking kill him." And you know, I think they may have actually thrown blows over it, but there was a heated argument and everything going on for an extended period of time. And then I can remember being in the car, leaving, and just having my eyes closed because my head was spinning and everything, and I was just trying to breathe, just in and out, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's why I remember him so clearly. I have had more than one encounter with Trump, and that's why I tried to kill that son of a bitch, because he is a fucking monster. It's why I have not shut up about just how absolutely abhorrent he is as a human being, and that's why I tried to kill him.
Now, so the person speaking there that says Trump is absolutely abhorrent is Sasha Riley, aka Sasha Burrows. He's here on Facebook. If you do not like what he is saying about Trump, feel free to take it up with him. He's a veteran, and he's been of the Afghan war, and he's been speaking out about this. And you're hearing an interview, 6 hours of interviews, audio interviews with the journalist Lisa Noel Valding. So if you have some discrepancies you would like to, clear up, any doubts in your mind about what he's saying, if you really don't like or trust what he's saying, my view is go contact the man and ask him. Go find out, unless you're scared. Maybe you don't want to know for real. Maybe you're just full of shit and don't really take a position on anything. But in my mind, if I had the opportunity to contact a person saying this, and I would want to know if it's true or not, the least I would do is contact them directly. That would be the very least. You see what I mean? And and prove what he's saying is not true. Because that's why the man's been saying it. He's been hoping that someone goes out and bothers to prove what he's saying is not true instead of just say that it's not true.
Yeah.
Because I had decided, I had already seen enough other people die that in my mind I thought, well, they're just going to kill me too at some point, right? I'm not going to survive to be an adult from this. So in my mind, he was the biggest pile of shit that I had ever had to have any contact with. So I was going to take him with me. And
how often did Trump assault you? Do you remember?
I can remember two specifically. A third one that I think. And
hey y'all, look, Tim Hayburn in the chat says that he says, big deal, paid toads here, or right? That's what he says. I don't know, but yeah, there are a lot of them. There are a lot of paid toads here, but in any case, Sasha Riley says that that Trump assaulted him multiple times. Here it is.
This pile of shit that I had ever had to have any contact with, so I was going to take him with me. And
how often did Trump assault you?
How often did Trump assault you?
Do you remember?
I can remember two specifically. A third one that I think, and I think I was around him more than.
I don't know if Biggs is a doctor, but Biggs is he's a representative in Congress. Biggs, Andy Biggs is a representative right now. Let me look his information up. Yeah, he gets taxpayer dollars.
But
just like Jim Jordan.
Only
just like Trump.
3
just like Colin Powell.
Times do I kind of remember. I can remember. And I think I was around him more than just those 3 times, but only 3 times do I kind of remember. I can remember at one point him asking the people that were kind of running that party or whatever it was at that farm. He wanted to kill somebody. He wanted to murder somebody. And they said, hey, that's not this kind of party. You can't do that. And they in lieu of doing that, they said, well, we've got some puppies. If you just want to kill something, we've got to get rid of them anyway. So I can remember him taking those puppies one by one, and like he snapped one of the puppies' necks. He cut one open and let it just howl and writhe in pain while it died. Held one under some water to kill it. He wanted to kill those puppies in whatever gruesome way, to experience, I guess, seeing them suffer in different ways. What his
So here he's going to describe how Trump does it. He's saying that Trump likes to torture you first, then sexually assault you after. That's very key to understanding somebody's mentality, So just peep that again. I mean, again, these are horrific claims that he's making. And I believe him. Because look at how fucked up Trump's brain is. And look at how much of a scumbag he is. He seems to hate women, right? He's just sick, man. But look, and his parents were sick too. Allegedly, that's what they say. So, but here,
he wanted to kill those puppies in whatever gruesome way, to experience, I guess, seeing them suffer in different ways. What his kink is, I guess, if you want to call it that, is watching people suffer. He likes to destroy people physically, mentally, during the process of the assault. That's why he stands out so much in my memory. And it's physical pain, and then it's also, degrading and all of that.
So,
his thing was to just try to destroy human beings to the utmost that he could possibly do it.
I would suggest to anybody in any government, in any country, in any government, if they want to understand Trump's mentality and get to the core of who you're dealing with, don't forget to listen to Sasha Riley's tapes, because you can contact him also, right? Because he is making some very specific claims. He's providing in these audio tapes so much detail to who he is, what was going on, who his family is, what people were doing. Not just saying they assaulted me. He's describing in graphic detail how he's making claims that they were involved in snuff movies for children and a whole lot of stuff. So, and now he's saying Trump likes getting off on torturing people first, kids first, like straight up, then entering into sex. So this is what he's saying. He's a veteran. Sasha Riley's a veteran, right? And he said his adopted father was a pilot for Trump.
And it's
Now, Trump had a limousine driver that made claims saying that he heard Trump bragging about rape, saying that he drove a girl who alleged that Trump and Epstein had raped her in 1984. The girl ended up dead a couple of years later with her brains blown out. This is what the limousine driver said. This is in the FBI reports. This is in the Epstein files. In the Epstein files, it also says that the police came in the investigation of her murder and said that it couldn't be suicide. So, just for reference.
pain, and then it's also, degrading and all of that. But his thing was to just try to destroy human beings to the utmost that he could possibly do it, which is why I attacked him.
Yeah, that's understandable. So,
I can tell you this: the last one, okay, so this was after they had killed the Samantha, was the black girl that I made the one of the movies with.
yeah. And these were. Let me just ask a question, just to clarify. So when Samantha was killed, these were all of these parties at the farm or similar locations to the farm, where there was
it was multiple farms.
Multiple farms, and usually
Yes.
it was parties. So there was individuals like Trump that were flown into the parties, and
Yes.
then
And they would have like a building, a house, and they would usually have like a tent set up, and it was almost like a little, I don't want to say a fair. It wasn't that big. They didn't have rides or anything, but it was a kind of a coordinated deal. Sometimes they would have the bare knuckle fighting. That probably is how my dad got involved with these people, because you've got boxing and stuff like that on TV, but that's really all you had back in the 70s.
Oh, I appreciate that, Justin. Good looking out, no doubt.
And 80s. The MMA type of stuff wasn't allowed, and these fights were a little more gruesome. They didn't fight to the death or anything like that, but they were bloody, and these were fights, and not just boxing. And so the rich people would.
I mean, think about how much Trump has attached himself to MMA and to the UFC. Just think about that. It's pretty curious. Also, there was some Epstein photos where they had these fun, like they were playing a game where Epstein was doing some bare knuckle fighting. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying all these things connect with that, but because, to be honest, I find his testimony here in these audio tapes compelling alone, just by themselves. But a lot of what he's saying has been corroborated in other ways by victims' statements that certain other victims have said too. And therefore, I would take his claims very, very serious.
Pay to see that. Sometimes they'd have like a band playing.
Appreciate that, Pitbull.
Just like what you would expect at like a fair or something.
So the rich folks would get flown in, associated with Epstein, and they would pay to watch the victims fight. The victims were all underage, and would they pay to then assault the victims after the fights or during the fights?
So they would get the kids to fight, and then they would pay to assault the kids after they see them brutalize each other. I mean, this is some really crazy shit here. But listen, on Sasha Riley's, on his here, if you go to his Facebook page, anybody can go to it. Anybody can befriend him. Anybody can follow him. Anybody can write him. He has pictures of the man that he's talking about was the pilot, his adopted father, the one that was hired by Trump, allegedly, according to him, the one that was setting up certain things for Trump and Epstein, right? The one who flew Trump out when he said he had enough, when Sasha Riley had enough, and jammed a stick up Trump's ass and kicked it in his ass to the point where he had to be taken to get medical help, like to a hospital, pretty much. He's saying that there must be a record of Trump at some hospital of this, right? He's saying that. But he shows a picture of the man that he's saying flew him out and the guy. So it's important to know that you can go and get more corroborating information about what he's talking about on his Facebook page.
And they paid it to torture the victims and rape the victims.
Yes.
And kill the victims.
But now some of the fights were adults. So if they had some big old country boy and some other guy, they would pay to see that. They would also pay to watch the kids fight, and they did pay to watch me fight. I would fight other kids, and my dad was my initial trainer for me to learn how to fight. I would later go on to be a boxer, an amateur boxer, but that's how I got my start in all of that. So yes, they would have paid for that, and the experiences were different each time. There wasn't like a set thing. You never really knew what was going to happen. So part of it, a lot of it just comes down to money. So if they offered $5,000 to have sex with me, then my dad was willing to do that. Whatever the dollar amounts were, I don't know.
Sasha, that isn't sex. That's sexual assault.
Right.
I mean, I just want to say something first. I think you're extremely brave. You behave extremely.
So people don't have an excuse. If they're interested to know what's being said about Trump, if you came here, you don't have an excuse to not know anymore, right? And right, exactly. So I want people to listen to it. I think if you listen to this, you're gonna learn something about Donald J. Trump. At the very least, you're gonna learn that there's another accuser, and that it's not just girls saying it. This time, it happens to be a person, a grown man, who said this happened to him when he was a little boy, between the ages of 8 and 12. It's public record. It's here. It's on Facebook. You can contact him and follow him on Facebook. He has more corroborating information, photographs, things like this on his Facebook page. So my suggestion is go check it out. Now, I'm going to go back. The reason why I played this is to give reference to, Trump, who we're talking about today, the individual that we're dealing with today. Right now, here, let's listen to some more about what Trump said about Kamala Harris. He said a whole lot about Kamala Harris in 2024. The economy is going to crash. You're going to be involved in endless wars. We're creeping there. We almost there now. Check this out.
Some people.
It's just insane, how much, people allow Trump to get away with. And we know why. I mean, at this point, it can only be a couple of reasons why. And one of the reasons is he likely have been involved in criminal activity that is so deep, so corruptive, that people around him are also implicated, and they will do anything to protect him, because if they don't, they will all go to jail. Now, I don't know why you would think he's equal to Kamala Harris, because so far I haven't seen Kamala Harris in the Epstein files. Not yet. So I don't know why you would look at Trump and think that he's equal to Kamala Harris, but it's worth hearing what Trump said about Kamala Harris if she was elected. It seems like a lot of things he said would happen if she was elected is happening now that he is elected.
I've got a plan that I'm going to do this or that. Oh, good.
Yeah, he's making fun of Kamala Harris being intelligent, right there, you know. And so this plays into that psychology also.
Do it now. Do it right now. Yeah.
You know, because I think a lot of the people that have this kind of personality trait make fun of people that are intelligent, right? There's something about them to where they will actually overlook all the real things being said about Trump. Like, you know, just that simple, you know. If you say something bad happens in an intelligent way, they laugh at you. It's a culture war, you know. It's a culture war. If you speak and you cry out and you show emotion, you show that you care, you show that you're intelligent, you show that you're serious, they laugh at you. And Trump promotes that.
Just going to wait. I've got a plan that I'm going to do this or that. Oh, good. Well, do it now. Do it right now. You know, if it's any good. No, she's a total fake. If Kamala, and she's incompetent, which is perhaps worse. If Kamala wins, you are.
So Sasha Riley said he shoved a stick, kicked a stick up Trump's ass when he was 12 years old, and Trump had to be rushed to the hospital. And he says that there's a record of it in the hospital.
3 days away from the start
or someplace.
Start of a 1929 style economic depression. I believe that.
You hear that? Going to be economic depression if you vote for Kamala Harris.
Perhaps.
So thank God there's no economic depression happening right now. Thank God that's not happening.
Worse. If Kamala wins, you are 3 days away from the start of a 1929 style economic depression. I believe that. You know, we have a lot of great analysts. Scott Bessent is one. He's one of the smartest guys on Wall Street. A real, you know, I call him 182, 184, double her IQ, like double, maybe triple. But they say the only reason the stock.
Hey, somebody said, look, here we go again. Flower of Christ. The left and the right come from the same bird. So why would Kamala be any better? Is Kamala in the Epstein files? Flower of Christ. That's why she would be better. She's not in the Epstein files. She don't have little grown-ups saying that she raped them when they were kids. Yeah, that makes her better, man. I don't know if you realize that. Are you trying to say pedophile, rapists, murderers of kids are equal to Kamala Harris? Where's your evidence to sustain that? You know, like really, seriously. Anyway, anybody can hop up. Anyone with any damn sense in their brain, you know, and some respect can hop up on the panel. We're almost there because, you know, the Ayatollah has been confirmed to be dead. You know, there was supposed to be no more wars. Trump promised. He said it out of his own mouth here. If Kamala is elected, there's going to be endless wars. OK, well, yeah, we will see. Also, there's a lot that Kamala Harris said about that she differed with Trump on Israel. They differed on Israel. You see what I mean? They actually differed. The left, the far left, punished her because they felt that she didn't go far enough in her statements. The right, however, said she was too weak, said that she wouldn't protect Israel enough. And so they voted for Trump. Although the right also said Trump should get out of these foreign wars, they also said she was weak. Right? You remember all of that?
Market is doing good is because they all think Trump is going to be elected. So I believe that's true. Just going to wait. I've got a plan that I'm going to do this or that. Oh, good. Well, do it now. Do it right now. You know, if it's any good. No, she's a total fake. If Kamala, and she's incompetent, which is perhaps worse. If Kamala wins, you are 3 days away from the start of a 1929 style economic depression. I believe that. You know, we have a lot of great analysts. Scott Bessent is one. He's
right. Exactly. Let's see here. Let's see what he said about Kamala Harris on foreign policy. Let's review that and just take a swift look. Let me see here. Is that coming up here? Boom. Here we go. Let me just pull the. Oh, actually, can we see all of this? Yeah. Let me. I have to change something here. 2 seconds. Let me put that over here instead. Yeah, 2 seconds. I will drop this on this screen and then pull it up. It's better because then everybody can see it. So here we go. Let's pull it up over here. Here we go.
It would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up, far worse than people understand what's going on over there. But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech.
She's gonna wait.
She hates Israel.
I've got a plan.
If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. She hates Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career.
Now, this is what the left and the right need to take a look at, because nobody can have it both ways. So part of the right wanted Trump to get out of endless wars, even stop supporting Israel. Then the other right criticized her for not being a strong enough ally to Israel. That's exactly what happened. Two different arguments coming out of the right. And the left, when it comes to, I call it misogyny. The left, when it comes, they did the same damn thing. One said, hey, you need to put Israel in check because they're killing too many civilians in Gaza, right? And the other side of the left said, she's not listening enough to us. She needs to listen more to Palestinians. That's literally what happened to Kamala Harris. This was 2014. Let's find out if anybody can have it both ways. Can anybody have it both ways? Sounds like you expected her to be able to have it both ways. You want to have it both ways too. Nobody can have it both ways.
If I were president, it would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever. I know Putin very well. He would have never, and there was no threat of it either. But
he knows Putin very well. Yes, he does. That's exactly what he said. He knows Putin very well. Anything stopping Ukraine?
By the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed.
Any stop of foreign wars, all these foreign wars? Or is there, when was the last time we went into Venezuela before Trump?
Millions of people when you add it up, far worse than people understand what's going on over there. But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. She hates Israel.
And 50-something, almost half of the Palestinian Americans voted for Trump because of this. You know, she hates Israel. Or no, the other way around. What am I talking about? Half didn't. I'm sorry. Half of them voted for Trump. I don't know why. They would vote for Trump when Trump is making comments like this. Listen to this. This makes no sense.
Far worse than people understand.
I'm telling you, half of most groups, only African Americans, Black Americans, whichever one, they're the only group that voted for Trump in 20%. Every other group basically did half or close to half. But why would any Palestinian vote for Trump when he's saying this? Listen.
If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up, far worse than people understand what's going on over there. But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech.
And half of the Palestinians went and voted for him after that, after he said this. I don't know how. I don't know what's going on in their brain. But yes, some of it was disinformation from Putin. Yeah, a whole lot of that got people to vote. You know, it didn't make any sense. Now, but it's not the first time. Let's listen to some more.
She hates Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not.
She didn't hate Israel. She didn't hate Palestinians. That's who you need to resolve a conflict. A person that doesn't hate either one. And instead, a lot of people punished her for not hating either one.
Exist within 2 years from now. She hates Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that. He's trying to, again, divide and distract.
And it worked. It worked. It absolutely worked. Bravo. Sad. You know, I voted for Kamala Harris. I believed her. But not enough people did. I believe she would actually be able to create peace between Palestine and Israel. I also believe Netanyahu didn't want her to win. I also believe Netanyahu doesn't want peace. But everybody doesn't agree with me, and that's okay. I'm an American citizen that lives outside of the U.S., born and raised in Washington, D.C. Family goes back to the colonial period on both sides. Moved out of the U.S. when I was 30 years old. I live in Copenhagen, Denmark. So, it is what it is. It is what it is.
From the reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself.
Yeah, according
Internet
to himself.
is the biggest wealth creation.
And yeah, that was facts. That was facts right there. But enough people didn't believe Kamala Harris, and they're still trying to pretend like Trump didn't say any of those words, and she didn't say any of those words also. They're trying to pretend their way out of it, to repeat the same cycle in 2026. Basically, they want to make enough confusion. It should be painfully obvious Trump doesn't give a fuck about the average American, regardless of who you are: Palestinian, Jew, gay, straight, white, black. It should be painfully obvious, but there will be enough disinformation out there, put out there again, to make obvious things seem a little more, become a little more complicated to understand, and yeah, so that's just how it works. And there won't be, we will see how people will deal with it this time. But in any case, since Trump said we didn't have any more foreign war, we were going to have more foreign wars with Kamala Harris. You saw Kamala Harris lost. So what happened after she lost? More foreign wars happened. Only this time because of Trump, right? Instead of it being Ukraine, which is still going on under Trump, instead it became Ukraine, Venezuela, Iran, Israel, the Houthis. Now it's probably going to turn to Panama. He wanted to do it in Panama. It's like, come on, he wanted to do it in Greenland. That doesn't count as more foreign wars. The only reason why Trump didn't go into Greenland is because the U.S. military told him, listen, although these are our allies and we have a strong military, they are willing to die over this shit. And they are willing to use lethal force to stop us from taking Greenland. That is the only reason World War III would have started right there. And the U.S. military knows it. That's the only reason why it didn't happen.
Before that, but that's what we're booked on.
So what does it mean, quickly, Claire, for the rest of the holiday?
Well, I think we're both due back at work tomorrow, so yeah, it's not really much of a holiday. We've stayed indoors all day today, and we're just following FCDO advice, really, and taking shelter. Some people are going about their day like it's a normal holiday, but yeah, it's certainly marred our trip, that's for sure. We just want to get home.
I bet you do. I'm really sorry to hear it. Do stay safe. Thank you for coming on the programme. Good to talk to you both.
Thank you.
Let's return to the story of the Ayatollah, who was elected by a council of clerics in 1989.
Yeah, I see you, 2Ps. I see you.
In 1989, Ayatollah Khamenei has maintained since then a firm grip on Iran's politics and its armed forces, often suppressing challenges to the ruling system through the use of violence. Our diplomatic correspondent, Caroline Hawley, has this assessment of his time as leader.
Ayatollah Khamenei had the final say on everything in Iran, the most powerful figure in the country, who saw himself as God's representative on earth. He came to power in 1989 after the death of Ayatollah Khomeini, who'd founded the Islamic Republic 10 years earlier, becoming political and religious leader for life. Ali Khamenei is said to have been his preferred choice of successor, and he continued its
soon heaven. Happy Sunday.
Antagonism towards the West. He'd grown up in the holy city of Mashhad and became a cleric at a young age, but not one of huge consequence. And as supreme leader, he had to build his power base. He did so by aligning himself with Iran's hard.
So Trump, he said that Obama made a mistake in going after Gaddafi, and Obama actually admitted that was true later, right? he admitted that it's not like Trump got him to admit it. He just did it on his own, right? That he regretted that decision that he made. He said that was actually the one decision that he did regret. However, Trump used that as a campaign thing, you know, and look at what Trump did. So Trump actually ran on this thing of you shouldn't have removed Saddam. You shouldn't have removed Gaddafi. You know, he went way back in U.S. policy and said all those things were wrong. So he was lying to his base. And now that he got power through lying to his base is not holding him accountable for lying. That's not an ethical and moral stance that his base would take, you know. And so now you have the death of the Ayatollah Khomeini. Not that I have any allegiance to him or favor him or anything like that. I actually think that that was an oppressive regime. However, again, we're talking about Trump, right? If Trump says these things about Gaddafi, he said these things about Osama. Who was that in Iraq? That's such a damn Saddam Hussein. I'm sorry. That's a damn shame. Saddam Hussein, he said all those acts were wrong. And he described how because you create more war, you disturb more things, la, 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 la. And then he goes and kills him. Like, so what is that? Is that going to create a vacuum of power in the Middle East? It's obvious going to create a vacuum of power because this is what Americans have to understand. Not only is there going to be an issue if this does not stop, there's going to be an issue. And there always is an issue of, first of all, people fleeing, civilians fleeing. They just hit a school and killed 100 students and teachers. There's going to be people fleeing if this continues. Like, there's going to be an exodus. Is it going to destabilize the region? Yes, it's going to destabilize the region. What is that going to mean? Who's in Afghanistan, for example? Who's in Iran? What other players are there? Does anyone want to lose power in that region, or are more people going to invest in war to make sure they get a heads up, or more people going to fund groups on the ground to make sure they get an advantage in who becomes the next power player in Iran or in the region? It's more likely that that is going to happen. A weapons vacuum. You see, so let's just be honest about it. If you want to kill a bunch of people in the Middle East, right, I see how that would work. But do you care if you're being lied to about it? Do you care what role your government plays in that? Do you care what role your money plays in that? Is your tax dollars supporting it? You know, and you don't even have health care. You see what I mean? How many Americans don't have health care? 30 million Americans do not have health care. Period. Almost 1 million Americans are homeless, just flat out, totally on the street. And those numbers are probably way lower than reality, right? How many Americans are caught up in student debt? How many Americans are one check away from being thrown out on the street from losing their home from losing their home, whether it's their rental home or the home that they own but pay a mortgage to, you know? So I'm not sure where people think there is some good in Trump, but it's obviously no good in Trump.
Military force, the Revolutionary Guard. In 1997, when a moderate cleric, Mohammad Khatami, was elected president, Ayatollah Khamenei overruled his attempts to reform the system. It was he, not the president, who would decide the nation's fate. In 2009 came the first major challenge to his regime. Mass protests in response to a presidential election that many Iranians felt was stolen by the system in favour of a conservative candidate. The regime responded with deadly force, crushing the demonstrations, provoking international alarm. Then came an even bigger threat to the Islamic Republic, an uprising led by women, challenging one of the pillars of the regime, the compulsory hijab. It was sparked by the death of a young woman in custody, and again the response was a brutal crackdown. Ayatollah Khamenei blamed the unrest, as he always did, on outsiders, Iran's old enemies, the US, and of course Israel. But he was becoming increasingly unpopular. Economic protests, which broke out in December 2025, quickly spiraled into nationwide fury at decades of repression by the regime, headed by him. They chanted "Death to the dictator," referring to Ayatollah Khamenei. With thousands killed in the uprising, hatred of him only grew. One hugely unpopular policy of his rule was Iran's sponsorship of a network of proxy forces, chief of them Hezbollah in Lebanon, meant to act as a deterrent to any Israeli attack. But what Iran called the axis of resistance was dramatically weakened.
Listen, Americans, and I don't know everything, and as a matter of fact, let me put this, let me put the link for people to hop up in the chat, right? Did I put it there already? Oh, okay. I didn't put it there. Let me go back and put this in. But what Americans need to consider, and it's just my suggestion, you don't have to do it, of course. I always, I'm just one person. I don't own anybody. I own my body. That's about it. But if you want to hop up, here's the Discord link. My suggestion is this, what is going on and what has always been going on in the Middle East is people fighting over trade. It's about trade. It's the people that have the money care about the trade. The people on the bottom are sold the culture war, just like in the United States of America. It's very easy to understand. The people in the bottom in the Middle East are sold culture war, religion, this kind of stuff, ethnicity issues, right? And they're used by the billionaires to fight for trade routes, control over trade routes, so they can make their money. Same thing in the United States. They get people fighting each other and the billionaires come out the winners. You see, it's the same thing going on in the Middle East. So while they're talking about, proxy this and supporting this, the truth of the matter is that Iran has said it many times. They don't want homogeny. They don't want the U.S. and they don't want the Western world controlling the Middle East. Putin, Trump's friend, has said that. He's dealing with all these groups when it comes to homogeny, trying to make sure the U.S. does not control, or the U.S., basically, or Europe does not control that area. So China also understands that. So they're funding people. So you got to ask yourself, at what point are they just going to tell the truth? Because this thing is just going to keep going around in a circle, because they're never going to tell the truth about what their goal is. Their goal, it's all about trade. From China, China doesn't care anything about anybody in that region. They can all die. China does not care, because China's the president of China, his goal is to improve China. That's why he's the president, and it works that way around the world. So unfortunately, there's a lot of Muslims that are going to kill each other. There's a lot of Jews that's going to kill Muslims. There's a lot of Muslims that's going to continue to talk about Jews. There's a lot of Christians that might get, Christians might get involved in this with Muslims and vice versa. But at the end of the day, the billionaires who are funding the weapons will be looking to control the trade and the resources. And these billionaires are behind all these groups. So at what point are we going to change the conversation? You know what I mean? And that's how I look at it anyway. I don't see it getting any better. I see it as a death trap for Middle Easterners, to be honest with you. I see it as basically extermination of Middle Eastern people. And, a cycle that doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon. So, that's how I see it.
The policy of his rule was Iran's sponsorship of a network of proxy forces, chief of them Hezbollah in Lebanon, meant to act as a deterrent.
So Hezbollah in Lebanon, Putin supported with weapons. Hamas, Putin supported with weapons. You got to remember this. This is and it's interesting how legacy media doesn't point that out so easily, but those are the facts. Anyone can look it up. Anybody can chat GDP it. It is the facts, right? They get their weapons from somebody. You see what I mean? And and it's usually Russia or China. That, if it's not Western weapons that are being stolen or Westerners supporting different sides and different groups. So, but what Americans got to understand is that while your tax dollars are paying for this, everybody in Israel has universal health care. Everybody does. Let me see here. And I'm not anti-Israeli. I'm just saying these are things Americans need to know to keep in mind. That's all. What's the point in doing something when you're not informed about what's happening and who you are in the picture versus who somebody else is? Let me see. Does Israel have universal health care and education? I'm pretty sure. Well, we know they have universal health care. The United States doesn't. So, and Americans don't seem to want it because Americans don't seem to get enough of them to vote for it. Right. You just have to. I don't know what the excuse would be. Right. They have a lot of excuses why they don't do it. But at the end of the day, I don't care about the excuses. I care about the action, what is done over and over and over again. And what is done over and over and over again is Americans are over and over again choosing to not have universal health care when they, among all people, can easily afford it. You know what I'm saying? So here, yes, Israel does have health care, universal health care, and publicly funded education. Health care in Israel. Israel has universal health care coverage by law, established under the National Health Insurance Law, 1995. Every legal resident must enroll in one of the 4 nonprofit health funds called, we went over this yesterday, founded through the health tax general government revenue, right? Coverage includes primary care doctors, specialists, hospital care, prescription drugs from a national basket of approved medications, maternity care, preventive services. The 4 health funds are these 4 right here, right? Residents can choose their provider. So you have 4 different ones you could choose, but they all must provide this: primary care, specialists, hospital care, prescription drugs, medications, maternity care, right? Preventive services, all right? And I even think elder care too. Now, residents can choose their provider, okay? Now, it's universal but not free. Citizens pay via payroll taxes. Americans pay via payroll taxes, but for some reason, it just seems that you get a better deal in Israel than you do in the U.S. For some reason, it's cheaper everywhere else in the Western world and Israel than it is in the U.S. Americans pay more for less. You pay 3 to 4 times more, maybe in some cases 5 times more, and you don't even get covered. 30 million Americans. So this is just an atrocity. Now, education. I've never even looked into Israel's education before, but here we go. Education is publicly funded and compulsory, mandatory from ages 3 to 18. Public schooling is free, right? Families may pay for extra light trips or special programs. System includes secular state school, religious state school, ultra-Orthodox schools, Arab language schools, higher education unit. Okay, so they don't have free, but they have heavily subsidized university. Hebrew University, okay. Tuition is significantly lower than in the United States. I wonder why that is. Why do you think that is? So does that mean it's more accessible? Okay. Yeah. So in any case, then you can go on to compare it to other EU states, right? If you want to. But this is worth discussing because right now, while there's going to be American service members dying, some probably have died. I don't know how many have died right now in this conflict, right? But they're risking their lives. But guess what's not happening? A lot of their family members, cousins, aunts, uncles that are back in America, they can't even access health care. You see what I mean? So these are things that Americans that speak to what the value of an American citizen really is. What's the value in that? You know, and are you getting your fair share or only the ultra rich getting their fair share? You know, what does it mean to be a citizen of the United States? Does it mean that I just follow and I pay taxes for other people? Or does it mean those taxes come back? Now, if you compare the U.S., I think at best, 50% of the taxes you pay affect your life directly. That means things you can see, roads, healthcare, anything. Even if you can't get healthcare, some of your money is going to that, right? Just things you could see direct, right? You leave the U.S., immediately it goes up to 60% of the taxes you pay directly impact your life. In some countries, it's 70 to 75% of the taxes people pay. I'm talking about NATO nations. In some NATO nations, it's up to 75% of the taxes they pay directly affect their life. Well, that's why they get things that American citizens don't get, because more of their tax dollars is actually going back to do something that the average person needs. Public transportation. You know how bad some of the public transportation is in the U.S.? You see what I mean? Like, how long does it take you to get anywhere, even by a car with some of these places? You know what I mean? It's like some people are driving an hour just to a job, 2 hours to a damn job, just because they can't afford to live in the same city that they work. Like, it's just out of bounds. And there's so many other things. Child care, can you afford that? Elder care, can you afford that? Can you afford anything? So these are things that are worth discussing, because a lot of the people that are involved in war, right, they're getting, maybe a better deal than what you think out of their life. So it's worth asking yourself, like, what do we get out of this shit? What are we getting out of this war? Is it something, are we getting the same that others are getting out of it? Or what's the purpose, So it's just worth asking. Let's see here now.
When that might be, but it has, of course, been a momentous 24 hours in the Middle East. Our World Affairs correspondent, Joe Inwood, has more.
Even amidst the heaviest U.S. airstrikes seen in decades, they came out in huge numbers. Regime supporters on the streets of Tehran, mourning the death of the man who had been Iran's supreme leader longer than many will have been alive.
Yo, facts, Leprechaun, exactly.
This was the compound of Ali Khamenei, the 86-year-old cleric, utterly destroyed. He may have been frail, here in one of his last public appearances, but he was the embodiment of the Islamic Republic. The central figure in this repressive regime, but not its sole source of power. At first, Iran claimed he had survived, but in the early hours of this morning, this announcement on state TV. Imam Khamenei drank the sweet, pure draught of martyrdom and joined the supreme heavenly kingdom, the newsreader says. But not everyone in this country mourned his death. As the news spread, this was the capital, Tehran. Here, the western city of Shiraz. And this, Galadar in southern Iran. Protesters, many of whom will have lost friends or family in January's brutal suppression of dissent, that they held him responsible for. Whether opponents or supporters of the regime, few would doubt the significance of Ali Khamenei's death.
I can understand Iranians being, maybe some Iranians being happy for this. I can understand that, because just a month ago, Iran killed a bunch of protesters. That is just, sick, right? Now, exactly, and I don't support that either. But let's just be very clear. Trump doesn't give a fuck about any Iranian. Let's just be very, very clear. Trump does not care. He cares about what he can get. That's what this is about. The moment he can't get something, it is over. You got to understand that about Trump. And you got to ask yourself, should national policy of any country be so transactional? Is that what it is? But in any case,
a 3-person council will run the country for now. One of its members gave a defiant message to state TV.
In the first phase, Iranian missiles were fired towards Israel, and it was painful. Today, even more painful, Iranian missiles are heading towards them. The Americans must know that they have stabbed the heart of the Iranian nation. Therefore, their hearts will be stabbed.
Knowing exactly what's happening on the ground in Iran is difficult. There is an almost total communications blackout. Yesterday, state TV claimed that a school in the south of the country was hit, reportedly killing more than 100 people, including children.
The world must know the truth. This is a child's textbook. The children are buried beneath the rubble, and they were all civilians. They came here for school this morning.
In Tehran, day 2 of these attacks, and they show little sign of letting up. As well as Ali Khamenei, the US and Israel have killed a number of Iran's top military leaders. It is undoubtedly a severe blow to the regime, but will not yet be a fatal one. Joe Inwood, BBC News.
Right. So they said, but not yet a fatal one. So again, Trump, he attacked Iran a month ago or so, 2 months ago, and they said they demolished, maybe 3 months ago now, they said they demolished. Basically, they all said it. It's on the White House page. I read it yesterday. You had the Israeli representatives, military people speaking about how damaging the strike was. You had the Americans talking about it's going to put back their program for 2 years, all of this stuff. And now just months later, right back involved in the same dynamic. And you got to ask yourself, when did Trump know he was going to do this? Did they know before Saturday? Obviously, because if you notice, the stock market, the American and European stock market closes Friday evening, something like 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It closes, right? So did they hedge their bets before Saturday? You know what I mean? Did they invest a whole lot in oil because the price of oil skyrockets? The price of gold is probably going to skyrocket too. And you see what I'm saying? And on Monday, you're going to find that out. You're going to look at it and you're going to see like, how much money could have been made off of this by knowing these strikes were going to happen in advance. Very simple, and, I just think that's an extra element of insults, but again, I'm only speaking my mind because I want people to know who I am as a human being. I'm an American citizen, but I want people to understand that, hey, we all in this together. I believe in human rights for everybody. I believe that people are basically all the same and that we need better minds to help navigate the world if we want to make things better. You see what I'm saying? And and since I like to go outside, I'm about to go outside myself and have a little bit of fun. When I see people, I want people seeing me for who I am and not my nationality. I want people seeing who I am. If there's something there, I want them saying, yeah, that's cool. We know all Americans ain't assholes. All Americans ain't stupid. Some Americans actually, believe in all of us getting together, even if we're different in some kind of way, that we can have some common understandings as human beings. You know what I mean? There's a right way to do things and there's a wrong way to do things. You see what I'm saying? So, I just hope this ends, but who knows? It's up to the people in power, and it's mainly up to Donald J. Trump how this turns out. I mean, that is definitely it. I'm pretty sure he's worried because the election is coming up, the midterm elections. And the one thing that can hurt him the most is that Republicans lose seats in the midterm elections this November. And how many months is that? Let me just take a look and see how many months that is. How many months is it from now? How many months? The midterms or days. Let me see. There's a bunch of special elections also happening even before that. And, again, people, the issues of health care. Look, if you want universal health care in the United States of America and you want it paid for in the tax code and you want it to be cheaper, you can get rid of all these administrators. There's like 4 different administrators that's doing paperwork that eats up all that's what drives the cost of the healthcare up. It's not even the healthcare you get, it's the administration fees, right? If you want it so all Americans can have health care, if you want it so all Americans can afford education, higher education, and it's not a matter of how much money you have, you can vote to have those things. That's what everybody else does. That's what they did in Israel. That's what they did in Denmark. That's what they did in Europe. That's what they did in Canada. That's what they did in Greenland. That's what they did in the UK. It's no different for you. That's what a democracy is for. So, let me see. Specific date, July. Let me see. Holiday, no. I mean election. The midterm elections. Let me see here. Midterm elections. Oh, it didn't get that part? Right. Midterm elections are in November. I believe is it the 7th or 4th? No, it's the 3rd. They're scheduled for the 3rd, right? So it's 8 months and 2 days from now. my suggestion is people go out and start voting for a democratic socialist. And I know it's not socialist like socialism. It's a term for itself. It's an American term for itself. It's not to be seen as everybody gets paid the same salary, regardless of how much work you get. No, that's not what it means. It just means in the American context, making things a little bit easier for the average Joe. You see what I mean? Making life a little bit easier for the worker class. You see what I mean? And, so I would suggest people do that and stay away from these culture wars. Stop being fooled by the unobtainable. You know what I mean? Trying to pass a law about trannies when there's only 1%, maybe even less than that, that you know what I'm saying? Stop voting on laws about men and women in bathrooms. Look, I'm a heterosexual man. When I go out, I go to plenty of places. I go on trips. There's a lot of places that are just, same sex bathrooms out there, and they're taken care of very, very well, supremely clean. Okay. Then there's places when I travel to, right, when I go to a museum, there's unisex bathrooms that are totally clean, private stalls in all of them, and totally clean. Right. Those are some of the cleanest ones I find. Me, myself, I'm a dude. So when I go to some other places, when it's not, I notice men don't necessarily keep clean, man. I don't necessarily like that. I'm also a father. You see what I mean? So I've been in cases where I've had a child, a male child, or a daughter child. I don't want to take my daughter child into the man's room. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of different nuances people got to think about. So stop letting these tiny little culture wars stop you from having a decent wage. Stop you from you and your kids from having health care and decent access to education. Stop letting these little culture wars stop you from having a salary that can afford you to pay your bills in the same hours, 45-minute distance from where you work. Stop voting against all your interests over tiny little culture war issues. Just stop doing it. It's getting really tiring. But in that case, I'm out. Yeah, I got to go out and visit some of my buddies today, say hello, get some sun. But I appreciate everybody for coming out. I will be back in what is it? In something like 03, something like that, 02 or 03 Eastern Standard Time, the wee hours of the morning. That will be 9. That will be about 8 a.m. Central European Time. But I appreciate it, everybody, for coming out. I will catch up with y'all real soon. All right. I didn't see anybody hop up in the chat. Yeah, nobody hopped up. So I will catch y'all soon. Peace. Impeach Trump, yo.
I'm having feelings I never felt in my life. It's hard to explain what I'm going through is new. I'm good looking, clean up well, but without this fine young little lady, I'm still in hell. She's brown skinned, Eritrean. Love every second and the time that we spend. We're good friends, there's no need to pretend. The way she walks and moves her hips, those smooth curves, I just love to kiss. It's Sunday morning, make her breakfast in bed, bring her a latte and chill up in the spread, and manifest all the thoughts in my head. The comforter of my life. You know what? She may not know what I want her to be my wife. It was my finest wish to stay the night. She's doing fine on her own, about to buy a home. Me, I'm working out some shit, but I've grown. I'm working hard to keep things right. Focus on my music so we can have a life outside of the system and the bright lights. She feeds me juice and curry when I'm hungry. Caress me on my body, it feels lovely. A lot of pain that I took on in my life. I need you to make it right. Need you to make it right. The feelings I'm feeling, it's real in my life. I know you're something special, want you to be my wife. All I need to know is will you treat me right? I wanna make love tonight. The feelings I'm feeling, it's real in my life. I know you're something special, want you to be my wife. All I need to know is will you treat me right? I wanna make love tonight. Brown eyes, caramel skin, beautiful face, where do I begin? Your hips, they keep making me excited. Your breasts, just how I like it. If you're the key to my life, then will you be there for me? All I'm asking is will you trust in me? It's complicated, but I wanna do it right. If we keep true to the love, we can make life. Your destiny is to be with me. I'm waiting for you to be one with me. Your soulmate, I would do anything for you. Baby girl, It's you I adore. Word life, you are my life. I won't deal with nothing that's strife. We're gonna spend all our time together, me and you, girl, forever. The feelings I'm feeling is real in my life. I know you're something special, want you to be my wife. All I need to know is will you treat me right? I wanna make love tonight. The feelings I'm feeling is real in my life. I know you're something special, want you to be my wife. All I need to know is will you treat me right? I wanna make love tonight.